quit faking it. Oh my goodness. I mean it. Quit faking it right now. Now, what do I mean by that? This is Tina Lorenz, and today we're going to talk about how faking it till you make it can go so terribly wrong. You've probably heard that advice along the way. Well, just fake it. Just fake it. And then pretty soon, somehow it'll get easier for you, right? Or somehow it'll just become natural for you. Now, I'm going to say there's a little tiny element of truth to that, but you have to do it the right way. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because this whole fake it till you make it thing can actually really turn on you. So faking it till you make it means the way that's not so effective is pumping up an attitude on the outside. Okay, there's a clue on the outside, the appearance of confidence, but it's all external. And you know what that is? It's like a house of cards. It's like building a home on a foundation of shifting sand, because it's not going to hold. It's not going to support you. And it's not going to last is the main thing. Because when you feel like you're lying to yourself and everybody else, come on now, how many of you have ever felt that way when you're trying to fake it till you make it? What accidentally can happen, it completely derail you, is leading to imposter syndrome. Actually feeling like, wow, I am lying not only to myself, but everybody else at the same time. Where you mistakenly, what is imposter syndrome? Is when you mistakenly doubt your own worth, you downplay your abilities and your expertise, and you're constantly telling yourself why you don't really measure up. And if you get found out, you're really going to be in trouble. And even worse is if you're faking it till you make it and you actually cross the line into lying or failing or self-sabotaging or even just embarrassing yourself because you've been found out, so to speak, of the way you are representing. So there's a difference between a contrived authority and expertise that's just kind of glued together with popsicle sticks and duct tape, that kind of a thing, and authenticity and transparency. But there's also a balance of how you display your transparency, right? So it's always, and of course, there's always that balance between how you're expressing yourself and where your expertise is. You're going to balance that out by being able to express in a powerful way what your area of expertise is. So, but see, here's the thing. The missing ingredient from faking it till you make it is your inner journey. Okay, it's not an outside thing, it's an inside thing. It's about becoming the person who can do the thing you've set out to do so that you can have the results that you desire to have in your life, and that you desire to bring to those you serve, whatever your niche market is. Now, for me, it's freelance copywriting. That's what I teach. It's what I do. But there's such an important element of mindset that goes with this, and that's an inner journey. So you have to be the person in your own mind. Excuse me, in your own mind first. You have to be that person to yourself, and sometimes that can seem like a big hill to climb for a lot of people. Well, yeah, right. That's the problem. I don't feel like that to myself. So it's literally changing the way you think, that inner dialogue, the words you're saying to yourself, the words you speak to yourself quietly, internally, but actually very loudly when it's internal like that, as well as what you say to the people you serve or the people you're communicating with, and how you communicate that. Because you know what? Your brain is listening all the time. You can't really fool it by whispering over here in the corner, because your brain hears everything, has no sense of humor. It's very literal, and it's going to file as important everything you say to yourself and the way that you say it. That's a whole other lesson for another day, because your brain is listening all the time. There it is, really filing all those words that you're saying to yourself, all the ways you're believing about yourself. And I talk about words to the third power. It's something that a phrase that I've coined, words to the third, because there's these 3 levels of impact with your words. Your words have that much power. Again, that's a whole other topic for another day, but just understand this one thing. It's powerful. What's happening with your words is powerful in your own brain, especially. And so if all you focus on is the external, if all you focus on in this fake it till you make it way of thinking is activity, busy activity. I'm very, very busy. Wow, am I busy? Oh my gosh, I'm so busy. You're doing all the stuff. It seems like you're doing all the stuff. You're going through a program, you're going to an event, you're doing activity every day, but that's it. It's just like busy work, because what's not happening is internally making the shift, making the shift that takes you into believing that you're capable, believing that you have this ability, the doing of what you perceive the successful person would do. That's part of it, but that's only part of it because that's all outside of yourself. Okay. And no matter how far you go, you're not going to get away from yourself, right? It's more superficial if that is the complete focus of how you're approaching this. And what that leads to is feeling even more of that feeling of, oh, I'm lying to myself. Wow, who am I to think this? Well, what was I thinking? That I could actually do that thing. Isn't that an interesting phrase? And give that one a moment. What was I thinking? How many times have you said that to yourself or heard someone say that? Well, what were you thinking? because you're onto something when you say that to yourself. What was I thinking? Maybe you need to stop and take a moment with that, because when you're faking it it's all external and the inner dialogue is still something completely different, it's going to turn on you. Like, it's going to leap out of the shadows and it's going to bite you on the rear if you don't make the internal shifts and you're not really being the person you're pretending to be. Is this making sense? I hope this is making sense to you of where that dividing line is. So how do you fake it the right way? Is there a way to fake it the right way? Well, I'm going to say yes, there is actually. That there's a kernel of truth in all of this and power when you interpret it correctly. And so it starts with changing your state. Now, I'm not talking about packing up the U-Haul and going from Indiana to Florida, okay? I'm not talking about changing your physical location. I'm talking about changing the way you feel, the energy, the vibration of your own self, your own inner workings, your soul, your spirit, your heart, your brain, your mind. And there's the brain, and what I think of as the spiritual aspect of you is your mind. That is the invisible part that they can't identify in an MRI, right? So it's about changing your state of how you're feeling, and how you're feeling is dictated by the words you're saying to yourself. Okay. So it's your beliefs about yourself. It's shifting what you believe to be true about yourself, because we choose our beliefs. We choose what we are going to believe in, what we have faith in. We choose if we're going to accept faith over fear, and we make those decisions. First comes the decision, then comes the choices that continues that journey of having made the decision. So your beliefs about what's possible for you personally. Now, some of that can be external, like striking a power pose, for example. Now, I'm not talking about we're going to go all Madonna here or anything like that, but I'm going to share with you a really fascinating life hack by someone. I learned some of this from someone by the name of Amy Cuddy. She's a Harvard Business School social psychologist who did a TED Talk on this. So you might want to look for that as well, because she discovered that the instant results really of changing your posture, changing your posture for just 2 minutes and in very, very quickly affects your body chemistry. Now, what does that mean? It means things like hands on hips. I don't know if you can see all that because I'm sitting here, but hands on hips, head held high, smiling, right? Shoulders up, really just feeling like, okay, a confident pose, right? Of striking that pose. Maybe you're going to do it before you walk into a room. Maybe you're going to do it before you go into a big event. Maybe you're going to do it before you get on a Zoom call or before you do a live video. And so think about what that feels like, or the difference between folding up, folding your arms, hanging out, kind of like when you're talking to a teenager that's rolling your eyes. But have you ever gone to an event where you felt like you wanted to sort of shrink into the wall, or you were going to sit in the corner, or you really didn't want to get called on, so you start folding up? Our body language is so powerful. And so what she found is that by striking a pose, even for just 2 minutes, I want you to try this today, okay? Like really, if you're going to go to an event or be on a Zoom call, just sit up straighter, lift your head, smile, right? And she actually did I don't think I have a pen here, but she actually did a thing where she put a pencil in her mouth, which forces your mouth into kind of a smile. And that literally people started to feel better. Try that, just kind of go around clutching a pencil for a minute and see what happens with that. But what she found is that there was a decrease in the stress hormone cortisol and a rise in testosterone. And that's for men and women. We all have it. That brings up more confidence. That's the hormone that kind of like, a little more, aggressive is one word you might use for it, but just powerful, right? In just 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Isn't that crazy? I mean, I think it's just super fascinating because remember, something like 93% of our communication is nonverbal, right? Through the body language, through what we project and how we signal confidence, how we signal certainty. And we literally change how we think and feel by striking a different pose. She had a great quote. She said, "Our bodies change our minds." So start there. Start with just giving yourself that powerful feeling of how you're going to project. And what, if you're walking into the room, that you're not going to go skulking down the side, so no one will look at you, that you're going to stand up straight and you're going to walk with certainty. You're going to appear on camera, on Zoom, and look at the camera, make eye contact, all of those things. American psychologist William James said, perception becomes reality, right? And so, in other words, our outer world is a reflection of our own mind and what we're telling ourselves, the messaging that we are sending to ourselves. And according to a report in the Journal of Psychological Science, they've done research that's proven that behaving like the person that you wish to become will positively impact your results, okay? As well as increasing how you broadcast certainty to others. And so isn't that interesting? I think it's like, these things are just amazing to me because our brains have the capacity to help us in this way when we make a decision to think a certain way or change the way, the story we're telling ourselves. And the people we hang around with, right, are also going to reflect, we're going to reflect some of that. And I have something to say about that in just a minute, but don't you think this is kind of amazing? I really think it is. I think it's powerful so let's talk about what are some steps, other ways you can step into being the person who can do the thing. Because it's one thing to say, well, you just need to be the person. It's like, well, how do I do that? How do I be that person? So here's a few things you can do today. Okay. Literally right after this live broadcast, you could do this. Write down all of your accomplishments. Now, I mean, all through your life. And maybe it isn't always directly business oriented, and maybe you're changing your pathway with what you're doing with business. Like a lot of the people I work with are shifting into becoming freelance copywriters or learning how to write the copy for their own programs or projects or getting their in-house folks trained. I can help you with all that, by the way, if you're interested in doing any of those things, because again, copywriting is the most valuable marketing skill you could ever develop because it's the basis for everything. And so, but yes, Tina, you teach copywriting. Why are you talking about mindset all the time? Because it's the foundation. That's what we're talking about right now. Why this foundational belief about what you're capable of doing and becoming is essential to your success. Without it, it's just temporary, right? It's just going through the motions. So write down those accomplishments. Now, maybe you led the PTA to the biggest bake sale ever. You can restructure that into led a national organization into a 45% increase in sales in one event. See, there's ways that you can say things that you have done that become even more powerful in the expression of them without your own mind saying, well, that was only that, or this was only that. That doesn't really count, does it? Yes, it absolutely does. So be looking for those accomplishments and write them down. Start making the connection to everything you've ever done to what you're doing now. Everything that can carry forward abilities and skills and talents and gifts that you have, only you have, that are unique to you, that because you're the only one that's done these particular accomplishments. And think about how you start weaving that all together into a fabric to support you now, especially if you're making a career change or you're choosing and deciding to make a career change and you're looking for a different pathway, perhaps to be more entrepreneurial, to be more independent in how you work, be able to create the lifestyle that you've always desired and the level of revenue that you've always really looked forward to having, but didn't know how you were going to get there. Okay. So you start weaving it all together into how you're going to present your messaging to the world now, because positioning is part of this. What do I mean by positioning? I don't mean just, we're talking about how might you be sitting or how are you standing, but I mean positioning psychologically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually of where you're at in your business, and that you can create that more powerful way of expressing and sharing what you've done and what you're doing now. But you have to create that picture, that mental picture for the people you're talking to, so they understand that, so they understand and receive the message of the value that you're bringing. So you're going to restructure how you talk about what you do. Okay. Like, for example, if you're just getting started as a copywriter, you don't need to go say, I'm just getting started as a copywriter. There's a difference between authenticity, transparency, and going so far that you're actually going now into a zone of self-sabotage, because sometimes when we do those things, it's actually our brain, our inner workings are saying, yeah, I don't know if I'm quite ready yet. So I'm going to frame all this out in a package that says, I'm just getting started and I'm kind of nervous, and there's no need to share that information in that way. You can just claim for yourself what you are becoming, and that person you're becoming. I'm a freelance copywriter. If that's the designation that you have decided for yourself, you begin claiming it even as you're learning it, or whatever that niche market is you might be in. You're now, obviously, we're not going to say I'm a brain surgeon, and when you just decided yesterday and you don't know even how to use a butter knife, right? You're not going to do that. That's why we're talking about authenticity and staying in the land of reality and integrity with our messaging. But restructure how you talk to yourself. You have full control over the messaging that you give to yourself, the words you take in for yourself. And so think about that. Be mindful about the words you use. Because again, your words have power. They're affecting you every single moment of the day, whether you know it or not. That's what's happening in your brain. Not only the words you say to yourself, but the words you're hearing other people say, where you allow yourself to be, what are you focusing on? Are you watching the news all day so that you're just so, in a little puddle of a heap by the end of the day because you're just feeling like everything is so discouraging? You need to make those decisions about what you allow in to your brain and what you're accepting as your beliefs about what's possible. And so the words you use, a way to begin with that, because I do believe in fast, hard-hitting little mantras for yourself. We call them 60-second sprints. It's a practice that I have created in my programs that my mentees, the people that participate in my programs with me, love them. And why do they love them? Not just because, woohoo, this is fun, but because they understand the shift that is happening. They feel the difference when they do this process. So always start with the words. Here's a starting point for you. I am. I am what? What is following that? Be very mindful about what you connect to saying I am, because your brain is paying attention. Again, it has no sense of humor. Your brain doesn't decide, well, that's not true. Oh, wait a minute, Tina, that's not really true. Your brain doesn't do that. Your brain just says, okay, whatever, you're the master controller, you're the programmer, I'm just the computer, right? And I'm not going to argue with you. And so it's I am what? I am powerful. I am capable. I'm smart. I am able to figure things out. I am able to learn new things. I am able to make difficult things easy. Whatever it might be, I am, and something that serves you, not takes you away from, something that propels you forward, not establishes even more self-limitation. Because, so many people, many of us have experienced that we will fight tooth and nail to prove how right we are about how limited our life is, about how incapable we are. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever done that, where it almost feels like, this is the way I've always thought, and no, you're not right. I can't possibly do that. I'm going to prove to you why I can't possibly do that. And so then you're continually reinforcing that belief that you are choosing to believe and have decided is true for you, and reinforcing it to your brain that's saying, okay, well, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just following orders from headquarters, right? That's why you need to be a brain boss, right? And so if you find that difficult sometimes, one of the things you can do even is to say, so that you're continuing to say these things to your brain, is ever since, and then fill in the blank of what you're doing, I've noticed something shifting. So ever since I paid more attention to my words, I've noticed something shifting. Ever since I started learning how to be a freelance copywriter, I've noticed something shifting. Ever since I declared my intention, I've noticed something shifting. And so whatever the thing is that you put in the middle, ever since I've noticed something shifting, that starts telling your brain, what does that do for you? It starts telling your brain, notice something shifting, that you are confirming you're noticing something shifting, and that something different is actually happening because of how you're thinking. Okay, so that is something that you can implement today if you feel a little bit of doubt about the I am statements, if you're arguing with yourself. And by the way, when you have that internal argument with yourself, it's actually a good sign, because it means you're pushing on the limits of the boundaries of what you always used to think. It means you're shifting into a new belief system, and your brain's kind of going, hey, wait a minute, that's something new and unusual, And so when you have that reaction, that's a good thing. It means you're on the right track. And so just keep going, and position from a place of power in your business. This is the next thing, a place of power, not neediness, not chasing, not apologetically, not doubtfully, but positioning from a place of power in your business. So I'm going to own your own power and create a perimeter of power, a boundary of it, and establish your boundaries and own your time. For example, I recommend that you don't just take unexpected phone calls to talk about business when you are not prepared. I've often equated it to, I think I actually had this happen in the early days of my own freelance copywriting, where I decided I'd take a call, right, to be helpful. And it's sort of like it's the dad is driving through the drive-through saying, "Hey, just a minute, I gotta get the fries for the kids." And it's like I'm picturing flinging French fries in the back seat with the crying, cranky toddler and 5-year-old that are whining and need their dinner, right? And he wants to talk business with me on the phone at the same time. That just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Okay. So establish your boundaries and your time. And so schedule your calls, schedule times when people speak with you, have a calendar and have a time of day that works for you, right? When I talk about a perimeter of power, make it work for you. Do your business in the way that works for you and makes you happy and makes you feel like present and able to focus and able to concentrate, all of those things. Okay. Get good at what you're doing. If you're learning something new, you got to get good at it, right? And that doesn't mean you have to wait. It doesn't mean you have to wait to get ready, but it means be actively in the process of getting good at what you do with mentors, with masterminds, with really thoughtful programs that you might be in, investing in yourself so that you can move forward, so that you can compress time, so you can learn faster and learn from someone that's actually doing the thing that you are choosing to do and are doing it successfully, so that you can invest in yourself with them and learn as quickly as possible how you can do it too. Okay. These are all things you do to move forward in your business. If you're committed to actually having a business, not just talking about it, but seriously implementing and creating that business for yourself. So that means you don't want to be the smartest or the richest person in the room either. Okay. You want to choose who you hang out with and who you learn from, because here's another really crazy thing about our brains. It's something that scientists call mirror neurons. You actually reflect the people that you're hanging around with. And so you've heard that expression that, the 5 people that make the most money that you hang around with are going to impact what you make. Well, there's truth in that, because if you're only having the conversations with people who are doing less than you are, or who think and I mean, just in the sense of, oh, I'm not going to do that, or they're fearful, or their belief is that they have to have a very traditional 9-to-5 job with certain benefits, that they get a little tiny raise every year. Woohoo! And maybe that's where they're comfortable. That's fine. But if you're choosing something different, if you've decided that there's another path you want to follow, you need to hang out with people and with mentors and with coaches that also have that, they share that belief with you, right? They share that belief system, so that you're not hearing the negative messaging of, why would you want to do that? Or don't you think you should just go back to a job? Or, isn't that kind of, scary to head out like that? I mean, so these are other people's beliefs that then impact you. And so you act like and become like the people you're hanging around with. And so that there is an aspect of that scientists actually call it, like, I forgot the exact term, but it's kind of like scientific mind reading, so to speak, that you can actually pick up the vibe, really, the energy from the people that you're around the most. It will start affecting how you think as well, right? Good or bad or indifferent, because your life is really a reflection. It is a reflection of how you think about yourself and what you believe about yourself. That one can kind of sting. That one might be like, no, that's not true. You don't understand what all has happened to me. Excuse me, I probably do. Okay. Because I wouldn't say that I've had this like easy life where everything was handed over to me in such a simple way. I mean, I was on my own at 17. I was homeless in my 40s. I was stalked for 2 years by a madman, a psychopath who truly wanted to murder me. I mean, I've been through some stuff, right? And so then I had to make a decision whether these things would stop me or propel me. And you do the same, right? And that's why your life is a reflection of how you think about yourself and what's possible. So, and you know what? It's really okay to love yourself. It's really okay to just be like, you know what? I'm okay. I really am. I was made for a specific purpose or a specific potential. And it's really okay to acknowledge that about yourself and say, that's pretty nice. That's pretty good. That that you know that to know through and through that you deserve abundance. You deserve prosperity. You were made for that, actually, because I believe that prosperity and abundance and money are divine energy, divinely sourced, divinely inspired, divinely given. And so you make decisions that bring more money into your life. You do money making decisions. What activity can I do today that actually could be a money generating activity in my business? And so that you can give and have more as well. When more comes to you, you can give more, you can have more, you can impact more, you can do more. All of those things come from the financial resources. And guess what? Even more will show up for you when you do this, what I'm going to tell you right now. 4 things. Decide if you'll accept what I call your divine assignment. Now, I believe that there is a calling for each one of us. There's something that we are meant to do, whatever that may be for you, that you probably can hear it if you listen, if you open your heart to it, that heart's desire you may have, and how that connects to divine source. If you believe in something outside of yourself, however you identify that, that there's an assignment for you, and you need to decide if you're going to accept it. Then you need to develop the skills you need to support the assignment. Because maybe it's like you're like, I don't know how to do that yet, or I hear that and I feel that and I desire that, but I don't know how. And so, okay, so that's the next step. You need to develop the skills you need that you need to support that desire, that assignment. Then you need to disseminate your message far and wide consistently. Going to add another word onto that. Consistently. This isn't the case of, I think I'll post on LinkedIn today and maybe next week and maybe in October, or maybe I'll do a video, or maybe I'll share my thoughts somewhere in a social media platform, or maybe I'll talk to a potential client every once in a while if I feel like it. You have to disseminate your message far and wide consistently. Start with even just one place, but do it consistently, because no one's going to come knocking on your door looking for you. Okay. News alert. That's not happening. Okay. So disseminate your message far and wide and declare with certainty and confidence the value that you bring to the people that you serve, the value that you know inside yourself that you can bring to the people that you serve. And it's really about the value. It's about the results. And you need to declare that to yourself as well. Declare it on a daily basis with certainty and confidence. If you do those 4 things, decide, develop, disseminate, and declare, things will start shifting for you. They'll start shifting about the way you feel about yourself, what you believe is you're capable of, what you believe is possible, that all of those things will start shifting if you do these things consistently. Consistently is the key. Okay. This is how you fake it effectively. This is how you can fake it even if you don't always feel like it. Okay. And just like people buy because they feel like buying, you will shift and develop and change how you think if you feel like doing it. And you have to create that atmosphere that makes you feel like doing it. So you fake it even if at first you feel like, I don't feel like it. I'm not feeling it. That's the type of faking that's the internal shift that's going on. And there's always that, I call it turbulation, that when you make a conscious decision, when you set your intention, when you start dialing in your focus, you also should expect there could be some choppy waters ahead, some turbulation, some resistance. All of those things are to be expected. And it's almost like the little test of going to keep going, or you're going to abandon ship. You're going to keep going, or you're going to give up. And so making that decision from the beginning, you're doing this no matter what. That's basically it. It's an internal shift that happens. It's training your brain to think differently. It's accepting your divine assignment. It's developing and unlocking the potential you were born with. We're all born with potential. We're not born guaranteed success, and we're not born to be failures, right? We make decisions and make choices after we make those decisions that propel us forward into what we desire to do. And you know what happens when you do this? Can you guess what happens? You become the person who can do the things so you can have the results that you desire for real. That's how you can fake it till you make it the right way, by stepping into who you're truly meant to be, the potential you were born with, the opportunities that are there for you right now today. There's so many opportunities that you just need to be able to start connecting with the people you choose to serve, the ideal clients that you choose to attract by consistently taking these actions and doing it's an inside job from the inside out as far as becoming the person who can do the thing. I hope this was helpful for you today. See, we got lots of comments. I see one says, this was so helpful. Someone saying, I love myself. I love you and you and you. I connect with a great laughs and we inspire each other usually once a month, if not more. And it's just, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. And so most Tuesdays, I'm going to be traveling next week, so this will get interesting. But I'm going to be in the mobile office is hitting the road. But I usually do a live once a week, and as you can see, if you're on YouTube, I've got lots of other videos. I have programs that you can participate in. I do my cash flow copywriting challenge every month. There's so many ways that you can make a decision to move yourself forward. I'm here to help you with that if you choose that. And by the way, if you're choosing to be a freelance copywriter, you really ought to be heading to Funnel Hacking Live. I don't get a cent for saying that. It's just an absolute veritable gold mine of at least 5,000 people who need marketing funnels. And that means they need copywriters. I train copywriters to be funnel copywriters. So you should be attending events like that where you can begin disseminating that information and sharing your expertise and making the connections with people that could become your ideal clients. Take action today. Take a money-making action today. Implement one thing that you learned from this today. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Subscribe if you want to make sure you don't miss out on any of the videos that I'm doing. I'm here to serve. I love seeing the success that's generated from the people I work with, and even a small part of this impacts your life in a positive way. I would love to hear from you about that. So thanks for being here today. This is Tina Lorenz. Until next time, go out there and start believing in yourself so that you fake it the right way and it becomes the real way for you. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you again soon.